Welcome. This is Catherine Queering, and I am hopping on here because I am just teeming with ideas and wanted to be able to go ahead and put words to them and share them with you as I'm working on an exciting and I think really needed space for all of us in the fall. I was already planning on doing a membership type um, format for getting some more community group time, working through different topics together, and getting support to learn, to grieve, to mobilize. And I was initially thinking about focusing more on self-trust, which may still be a part of it. But I think I'm already hearing so much from my clients about the grief and the processing and anger and frustration and confusion and disillusionment at being an American at this point in history, where we're seeing like fascism take over and feeling really helpless and confused and trying to figure out how to make sense of this, how to cope, how to not feel so alone. And so I think that's more going to be the focus for this fall and maybe also next spring, just depending on what everyone needs. Um, my thoughts are about this to kind of better understand the hallmarks of fascism, authoritarianism, um, populism, dictators, that kind of thing, and maybe look at other countries and how they've understood this, how they've weathered this, how they've gotten through this um, on a societal, political, individual level, and see what we can learn. Also to be able to have the frameworks for understanding societal change as well as personal change and growth, and what this moment might mean, what different people, especially from the global majority, are saying about this moment in history and these types of transitional moments. I've been exploring this a little bit in my podcast, right? But I want to take it to a deeper level. And I also want to be able to explore what kind of trauma reactions we might have, right? Fight, at least fight energy, like in our bodies that we don't know what to do with. Flight, right? Do we escape? Do we run away? The like freeze response, which might be, I feel frozen and not knowing what to do. There's also a response of like hiding or wanting to be under the radar, right? Or even a like collapse, submit, helpless kind of feeling. There can also be the like fawning or people pleasing, accommodating kind of thing that feels more comfortable to survive. And I want to help us understand these reactions are normal. And many of them are also grief responses, right? Anger, sadness, denial, bargaining, all of these things. How do we approach what's happening with this immense societal polarization and change and the upcoming election and the potentially really polarizing results of that, and that being contested, or there being like basically witch hunts after that, or a slew of laws depending on who wins and what happens. So I would like to be a part of, and I would like to help us have a space to be able to tread this together and be able to figure out and talk through what are the things at least therapists have found, and then let's explore other like social sciences or spiritual things or resilience factors that help us come to from hyperarousal or hypoarousal. So that's the being overwhelmed, panicked, find and fix, anxiety, all of that kind of stuff, rage up here, versus like shut down, numb, dissociation, giving up down here. And then how do we create more space for ourselves to be in this middle zone, which therapists call the window of tolerance or the window of capacity? And some of the things that we found from trauma research, and I'm going to forget some of them right now, but one of my special interests is naming and exploring all of these. So play, grieving, not feeling alone. So knowing that you somewhat belong, or you at least have one person that believes you and is there for you. And that also may be like expanding what we see as our attachments, right? So like healing our attachments to this earth and our place on this earth as humans and our place in the ecosystem, the positive connection that we all often have with animals and their unconditional positive regard. And we can heal our attachment with time and with productivity and with money and like all sorts of other things that can also help us navigate this place. I think a helpful guide is Lisa Miller's phrase about feeling loved, held, guided, and never alone. How can we create more of that for ourselves? That's what she says is the spirituality that helps us cope with really difficult things and even encourages our body to heal from like medical or physical diseases, illnesses, struggles. And so how can we use that as a way to help us heal ourselves and have transformational justice and healing justice? And I have like several people that I'm following and reading and listening to and will bring into the discussion. And I'd love to hear yours as well. People who are analyzing this from a societal level, from civil rights, Black Lives Matter, anti-oppression, inclusive, feminist, societal historical models, and understanding what's happened from the past and how it's repeating itself or not. Tom Hartman's one that I follow for that. Prentice Hemphill. I'm going to include like the American Fascist, Chris Hedges, and Confronting Christofascism, and things like that that have been really helpful for me. And there's a lot of other people like DL and Crispin Mayfield and oh, I always forget his name, but the guy, Jake, what's his last name, that does the I Hate Dr. Jobson podcast. There's so many people who are putting these things together and making sense of them. And I would really love to bring them together for us. Almost like a class, but more with the intention of support. But for me, the ideas are also really important, and having some sort of framework for what's happening and what are greater like stories, narratives that we can expand, even the narratives and the frameworks that we are like slotting what we're happening into, right? And that gives us an increased capacity to understand what's happening and to tolerate the discomfort of what's happening and know that there can be something else on the other end. And how do we help ourselves and our communities and our societies move through this moment with as much healing and solidarity and options for rebuilding, for regrowth, for finding what does last through the destruction, that we can rebuild, right? destruction is a natural part, or the living, dying cycle is a natural part of life. Destruction and violence, to the extent that we're seeing it, and scapegoating and polarization and all of those things are not necessarily. They are shadow sides of humanity, right? They are some of our natural reactions. I've been listening to a lot of Prentice Hemphill lately, and I appreciate how they're looking into like this natural desire for revenge as part of justice. And what do we do with that energy that is life-giving? What do we do with that that is fulfilling in a greater scheme? Just as an example, right? So this is my hope and desire for this space. My goal is to have a community space, a Facebook group type thing, whether it's on Facebook or not, because Facebook is really, I don't know, busy for me and hard to stay focused. But that is one option. And like some Zoom gatherings, both for exploring these topics together, and then also specific meetings for just processing and holding space for each other as we're going through this. And there'll be also like other content you can access and things like that. But I am hoping to start this sometime in the fall. And I haven't decided on a exact start date yet or a price. My idea is that there'll be like a monthly membership fee, and you can stay in as many months as you want or cancel at any time you want. If you need a scholarship or any sort of like financial assistance to be a part of it, please let me know, because I don't want that to be a hindrance. The financial aspect of it is to give you a sense of buy-in and value around this, and a priority around it, and also to help support the time that I would need to invest in this, so that I can still have time with my family and balance that with work and clients and be able to set aside enough time for this. So that is the only reason for any sort of financial piece of that. I will be on vacation most of the rest of July and a lot of August, but I welcome your feedback in whatever way you want to send that or start thinking about it. And then I can kind of pull those together, and I will check in with you more on that as soon as I've set up anything else or to explore any other preferences anyone might have around that. Probably like late August. And my hope is to start sometime in September, and if not, maybe October. And then we'll probably keep building this out to be larger and whatnot as time goes on, if that feels like the right fit. All right. Sending you all love, compassion, perseverance, hope, and a little magic in your realism. Thanks. This is Catherine Queering signing off.